With the influx of mountain biking that's been happening lately because of the coronavirus and access to outdoor trails, and just mountain biking is super fun, so everyone wants to do it. It's awesome that there's so many people getting involved. However, it seems as though mountain biking trail etiquette is rapidly going out the window. So since I have a small audience here on YouTube, I figured I would do my part and speak out about trail etiquette, secret trails, why they matter, and how we can protect them as both riders and builders. Rule number one of secret trails is not talking about them. You're not supposed to talk about them. However, I am breaking my own rule with this video with the intent of being helpful and informative, hoping that secret trails are more protected because of it. Okay, so first things first. The reason that we should protect secret trails is because they are going extinct. It's the old school style of mountain biking, and once it's gone, it cannot return. As mountain biking becomes more mainstream, secret trails are going to become harder to build and harder to keep secret. Lately, a crazy thing has been happening in the Pacific Northwest where a lot of governments are beginning to monitor and shut down illegal trail building with fines, tickets, and signage. This is super discouraging to builders who have dedicated their time and energy and money into building these works of art, only to have them be destroyed by people who don't understand good trail etiquette. It happens from entitled individuals going out and riding the trails, abusing them, not respecting neighborhoods, not respecting locals. Okay, so here's the next problem with secret mountain bike trails. Mountain biking is one of the very few sports where you can take a beginner rider, take them to the hardest trail, and the beginner rider can probably make it down. They might be walking their bike, sliding down things, walking around things, but they can actually get to the bottom safely 99% of the time. However, with any other outdoor sport, rock climbing, skiing, snowboarding, surfing, if you take a beginner to the hardest, most intense moves or sections, they're gonna die. It's literally life or death. But mountain biking, you have the choice of getting off the bike. So this creates a dynamic where it's more accessible to everyone. It's more easy for people to access if they want to. And so it's both a cool thing about mountain biking because it makes it really accessible for people to get outside, but it's also very destructive when you start adding secret trails into the mix. The reason secret trails are so fun is because oftentimes they are the most challenging trails that you can find. It's where you're gonna learn to push your limits. Sanctioned riding areas are usually more skills focused on trail length over trail quality. With the difficulty and the risk level involved with secret trails, features like that will not be allowed in most sanctioned riding zones, with the exception of Canada, pretty much exclusively. In the United States especially, we are a lawsuit-heavy country, which means local riding clubs aren't going to be putting features that put them liable for people breaking their backs. There are also environmental concerns such as erosion and drainage that dictate whether a trail can be legal or not. Also, many sanctioned trail systems are funded because they support the economy. They're bringing tourism in and they're helping support different businesses. Illegal trail building has all risk of people getting in trouble and no reward monetarily for the people that are in charge. And this proves especially true when the mountain bikers in charge aren't good enough to ride these secret trails. Another thing that happens with secret trails is that a lot of times they do become sanctioned. Local trail organizations adopt them, make them legal by adjusting the erosion problems. It's an awesome idea to be bringing these secret trails into trail systems to make them sustainable for the long term. However, once they do, the best parts get cut out, they get dumbed down, made easier, and just don't really have the flow built into them. So while it's great to see that the trail systems get more trails and grow in length and have more accessibility, for mountain bikers who really just want to go ride the trails they love, it's pretty depressing because the best parts get taken away. So I've talked about the problems with secret trails, and now I'm going to talk about the solutions, and it starts with you. It all comes down to etiquette, the rider etiquette and the trail builder etiquette. And if we can learn to be more responsible people, we might be able to keep secret trails lasting for longer and longer. So I'm gonna go through the rider etiquette. So when you're riding mountain bikes, this is what you should be doing, especially if you're on a secret trail. Number one, do not ride in the wet, or at least the super wet. It creates ruts, further erodes the trail, and makes it harder to repair come summertime. So do your best to not ride in the wet. And I know it's fun, but just try your best. Also, generally, good riding etiquette is good, like not skidding and things like that. You can look that up on Google. All right, next step. Just as you would never take an artist's paintbrush from their hand and start modifying their painting, you shouldn't be doing the same thing with secret trails. Don't make major changes without the primary trail builder's permission. Clearing brush and filling in brake bumps is awesome, but if you're gonna add a ride around, add a new feature or anything like that, you should definitely be getting permission from the builder before you go ahead and do it yourself. Or if you really like a certain trail but wish it was just a little bit different, go build your own. Build something, take a ton of inspiration from it, and make your own version. All right, so next up, most mountain bike trails are on BLM or logging land, which means it's not really public land, so you don't really deserve to be there. So if you're camping, if you're mountain biking, no matter what you're doing on this land, you should try and be as respectful as possible. Yield to logging trucks, be considerate of other drivers, try not to get the cops called in or get heli-backed out. You know, you want to attract as little attention as possible. Also, don't litter because duh, it's 2020. It only takes a few major mistakes until a trail is just completely shut down. I reserved a special section of this video exclusively for social media etiquette. Right now, I believe that social media is actually one of the greatest risks to secret trails. And it's not necessarily just the photos and the videos, it's the location tags, it's the hashtags, it's writing the trail names. These are the things that we need to be careful about. Okay, so first off, rule number one of secret trails is don't talk about secret trails. Try not to share photos and videos. If you're doing an awesome trick, awesome, post it. Just don't use the hashtags, don't use the location tags, and don't comment where it is, especially if you have a public profile, because that means anyone can find you. Also, it's not high school. Telling people that you know where secret trails are doesn't make you cool, it just makes you a doof. Don't be a doof. Next, try not to share photos or videos that include really distinguishable features of the terrain, entrances, exits, or certain mountains that are in the area. These are all things that people can use to find the trails, and that's who you're trying to protect them from. If someone's being shown a secret trail by their friend, it's likely that they're pretty responsible. But the people that aren't being invited, that are going searching for those trails, those are who you have to look out for. And last but not least, turn off your Strava heat map and set your Strava to private. I made a post in my blog about how to do this, and I linked it below, so be sure to check that out. Don't film YouTube videos at secret trails. Great, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Last but not least, one final contributing factor to the longevity of a trail system, staying alive, being able to be used and played with, is the trail builders. We've got to have responsible trail builders as well. It's likely that if they're dedicating their time and energy, they're already pretty clued into how things work, but not always. And let me just preface these tips by saying I'm not a trail builder. I'm an aspiring trail builder. I haven't finished one. I've worked on many. So these tips are just things I've picked up from being in the mountain bike industry for so long, and also working on trails, on trail crews, things like that. Tip number 1, always hide your trail entrances and your trail exits. Makes it harder to find. It's pretty obvious if a trail exits straight into the road, so it's probably best not to do that. Okay, secondly, don't cut down trees. Do not cut down trees. Just don't do it. Or if you're gonna cut down a tree, you gotta hide it really well. Most trails, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, are all on logging land, which means the fastest way to get kicked out is by cutting down their crop, which is the trees. Third, going off of that point, is try to avoid building with wood as much as possible. Wooden structures like skinnies and bridges and jumps are super cool, but they also attract a little bit more attention. For whatever reason, wooden structures always get trail systems shut down. If you want to build your own trail, do it. Just try to be as responsible as possible. If you can, talk to local trail builders in the area so you can get the info on how trail systems work and things you should watch out for, because it's likely that there are land managers that are more lenient or less lenient depending on where you're at. And the best way you can find that out is talking to other local builders. In conclusion, just be a thoughtful, respectful individual. It should be that easy, but it's not for whatever reason. So do your part, throw some dirt, stop caring so much about social media, it's toxic anyways. Be a good person and pick up a shovel every once in a while. All right, so I've made some what could be considered controversial points in this video, and I want to hear what you guys have to think. So give me your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about secret trails? Do you think they all should be legal? And most importantly, why? All right, so thanks for watching, and if you want to keep more videos like this coming, it would mean so much to me if you could support my channel. I'm on Patreon now with extended cuts and extra bonuses, and I'm also selling courses such as the Wild Mindset and t-shirts. Head to my website, wild-grit.com, or find me on Patreon at Wild Grit. And at the very least, consider liking and subscribing if you haven't yet already. All right, thank you again for tuning in, and until next time, stay wild.